This is Meet Sean, where we break down real life topics insurance, annuities, real estate, travel planning, and home ownership so you can make smarter moves. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.
Welcome to the deep dive. Look, if you're making big financial decisions, especially in today's market, you really need a solid game plan, one that's both, defensive and offensive. So today we're tackling that exact challenge in real estate. How do you protect yourself from, say, economic shocks, while also spotting and grabbing those hidden market opportunities? We're drawing on insights covering two key angles. First up, the defense. How to sort of shut down proof your real estate plans against things like, federal government closures. And then the offense. We'll dig into leveraging seasonal advantages, specifically looking at Florida in the fall. It's maybe not what most people think of.
That's exactly it. The goal here isn't just to react to headlines. We want to give you practical steps, real tools for being prepared and finding an edge in the market. So you can plan for potential problems, but also, actively seek out the best deals, quickly but thoroughly.
Okay, great. Let's start with that defensive side then. Federal closures. They sound disruptive, but how bad is it really for a real estate deal? Are we talking small delays or like total collapse?
It can genuinely freeze things solid, sometimes even cause deals to collapse, depending how long it goes on. The main thing to grasp is how a shutdown basically uses bureaucracy against you, against your closing date, against your finances. If your deal involves federal agencies, think VA loans, FHA loans, those approvals can just stop, dead in the water, because the people needed are furloughed.
And we've seen this before, haven't we? I mean, the sources mentioned 2013, that was 16 days, and then 2018, 2019, a much longer one, 35 days. Agents back then said something like 40% of their deals just froze overnight. That forces you to learn about contingencies the hard way.
Right. And connect that to now. The market's already dealing with higher interest rates, high prices. You add federal uncertainty on top. It just makes a tough environment even tougher for anyone not ready for it.
So building that defense starts with looking inward, right? Assessing your own situation. What specific checks should you, listening now, be running?
Okay, first, look hard at your income stability, then your debt, and crucially, your cash reserves. This is absolutely vital if your job depends on federal contracts or funding. If a shutdown means your paycheck stops, your risk in a real estate deal just shoots way up. And beyond that, think about your timeline. How flexible are you really? If closing gets pushed back weeks, can you handle that without major issues? Knowing your wiggle room is step one.
Which leads right into contingency planning, having that financial cushion.
Oh, absolutely non-negotiable. You need that emergency fund. Aim for 3 to 6 months of essential expenses saved up. But it's not just cash. You also need to have scouted out alternative financing options beforehand. You've got your traditional banks. They offer stability, sure, but they have tight rules and are often the first to freeze up during a shutdown.
Right, so that's where we need to get strategic. What about these alternative lenders? What's the deal there?
Well, they might offer quicker approvals, maybe more flexible terms. You're essentially paying a premium for speed and, flexibility. But, and this is important, they operate under different regulations. So you must do your homework, vet their reputation thoroughly, and be ready for potentially higher interest rates compared to a standard bank loan. Knowing both paths exist gives you options, which is a big advantage.
And something simple, maybe easily overlooked. Get all your documents together now. Financial papers, IDs, everything. You don't want to be scrambling for paperwork when things are already chaotic.
Exactly. Preparation is probably 90% of reducing stress in these situations.
Okay, let's switch to the buyer's perspective during a shutdown.
Yeah.
If you're already in a process, how do you play it?
First rule, get pre-approved as early as possible. But the real move, the way to actually gain some leverage, is to understand the market psychology. See, when there's disruption, most people pause. They hesitate. Sellers, though, they might be facing delays too and suddenly become much more flexible on price or terms. So a smart buyer can actually find properties that are maybe slightly underpriced or negotiate better terms precisely because the competition just stepped back for a moment.
So that hesitation becomes your advantage. Interesting. Now, what about protecting yourself financially from those loan delays everyone worries about?
Apply early, that's key. Consider those private lenders we mentioned, if you vetted them. But the single most critical safeguard, lock your interest rate. Getting a rate lock protects you if rates climb while your closing is stuck in limbo. Imagine a 35-day delay. A rate lock could save you from a nasty surprise if rates jump during that time.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And finally, building the right team around you. A shutdown resistance team, as the source put it.
Yes. You want an agent who's maybe navigated this before, knows the potential snags, and really grill your potential lenders about their specific contingency plans. Ask them straight up. What's your process if federal offices close? How do you handle it? A proactive team that communicates clearly is like an insurance policy for your deal against these external shocks.
Okay, so we've got the defense covered, protecting your deal from those unexpected federal freezes. But smart real estate isn't just about playing defense right. It's about going on offense, finding value others miss. So let's pivot. Let's talk about Florida, specifically in the fall. Why is that an opportunity?
Yeah, this is where it gets interesting, how seasons create specific advantages. Spring and summer in Florida,
Yeah.
packed, lots of competition. But fall is actually often seen as a really good time to buy there. Why? It's pretty simple. Fewer seasonal buyers around. The main wave of snowbirds hasn't quite landed yet.
Fewer buyers. Okay, so that means less competition, fewer bidding wars, I assume.
Yes,
Like maybe agents have more bandwidth for you.
Exactly on both counts. Less competition is huge. And yes, real estate pros, agents, lenders, inspectors, they often have more time in the fall, so you can get more focused, personalized service. That can make a real difference. So tip one is really about understanding seller motivation at year end. Think about it. Sellers in Q4, October, November, December, they often have strong reasons to close the deal quickly. Maybe it's for tax purposes, wanting to wrap things up before December 31st. Or maybe they have a job relocation that needs finalizing before the holidays hit.
Okay, so as a buyer, you tailor your offer to that urgency. You might offer a flexible closing date that works for them. Keep contingencies reasonable. It's not always just about the highest price.
Precisely. Often, an offer that promises a smooth, quick close is more appealing to a motivated seller than one that's slightly higher but has more potential complications or delays. Meet their need for certainty. Then, tip two, get familiar with seasonal price patterns and know that it varies across Florida. Central Florida, like Orlando, might see more noticeable price dips compared to, say, South Florida, where demand tends to stay high year-round.
Our sources mentioned a coastal versus inland difference, too. Coastal properties hold value well due to that high demand. But inland spots that maybe slow down over the summer, those could be where you find more negotiating room in the fall. And there was this interesting point about post-hurricane season opportunities,
Yeah.
but with a big warning label attached, right?
A very big warning label. Yes, you might find lower prices after a storm, but that's only a real bargain if the property is structurally sound and, crucially, insurable long-term. You absolutely must get thorough inspections. Check for hidden damage. And investigate the insurance situation carefully. A recent major claim could mean sky-high premiums down the road or even difficulty getting coverage at all. Don't let a low price blind you to future costs.
That's a critical point. Balance the potential bargain with the long-term risk. Okay, tip 3 was about financing. Fall is supposedly a good time for mortgages. Why is that?
It often is, yeah. Lenders, like many businesses, have year-end goals, quotas to meet. So in Q4, they might roll out special programs, maybe slightly lower rates, maybe reduced fees to bring in more business and finish the year strong. If you shop around for rates strategically and time your application for the fall, you could potentially lock in a better deal because the lender is motivated too.
So just like leveraging seller motivation, you're leveraging lender motivation in Q4. That's smart.
Tip 4 gets tactical. Target properties that have been sitting on the market for a while. Look at the DOM days on market. You can usually find this data in the MLS listings. Look for homes that have been listed for, say, 60, 90 days or more. Often these were initially overpriced, or maybe they need a few obvious repairs.
These are the tired sellers you mentioned earlier. They're probably getting anxious as the year closes out.
That's the idea. They're likely more receptive to offers, especially reasonable ones. And because they're motivated, you might have more room to negotiate not just on price, but also asking for concessions, like credits for repairs or help with closing costs. It's about finding who needs to sell now.
And the last one, tip 5, was about timing and financials. Closing before December 31st. What's the specific win there?
It's mainly about taxes. If you close before the end of the year, you can usually deduct things like mortgage interest paid and property taxes on that year's tax return. Getting that deduction sooner rather than later can be a nice little financial boost right away.
But again, the sources stress caution here. Don't rush a bad deal just for the tax break. You still have to do all your homework right. Inspections, research, balance the speed with being thorough.
Absolutely. Due diligence always comes first. The tax benefit is a bonus, not the main reason to buy. And thinking longer term, these fall purchases in Florida have shown strong potential. The data we looked at suggested something like a 25% appreciation over 5 years for homes bought in that off-season window. That indicates real value.
And for investors specifically, buying in the fall lines up perfectly for the winter rental season, the snowbird season. The advice was pretty specific. Aim to get your rental property listed by October 1st if possible.
Yes, that captures the early planners, often the renters who stay longer and are willing to pay premium rates for the peak winter months.
Wow. Okay. So we've gone from bracing for potential government chaos to strategically hunting for deals in the Florida sunshine. It really shows that success in real estate needs both, doesn't it? Defense and offense.
It really does. You need that robust plan for the unexpected, like shutdowns. But you also need the awareness and the decisiveness to act when opportunities appear, like those seasonal dips or lender incentives in a market like Florida's.
That really feels like the core lesson here. Plan for the worst, yes, but actively look for and be ready to jump on the best opportunities.
And maybe the final thought to leave everyone with, connecting it all, is that the key isn't trying to avoid risk entirely in real estate. That's probably impossible. It's about understanding risk, managing it effectively, and recognizing how external events, whether they seem like threats or not, actually create market shifts. And those are where the opportunities lie, either for defense or offense.
That's a great way to frame it. Managing risk, not just avoiding it. Well, thank you for digging into all this with us today. Hopefully this gives you, our listener, some concrete ideas to apply to your own planning and your property search. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
That's it for today's Meet Sean. If this helped, follow the show and share this episode with one person who needs it. See you next time.